Well, hello there, friends and family. We're out here sitting on the front porch today. It's Sunday, and wanted to chat with you all a little while. Today is Sunday. I believe it's July 28th, 2019. I want to chat with you all a while. And first thing I wanted to say was, I wanted to thank all of y'all that have stopped into the channel and viewed our video series that we have going on about food crisis question. Really do appreciate it. And I would like to thank each and every one of you who's taken the time to make a comment, as well as those who've decided to subscribe to the channel. It truly is appreciated. But it's because of you, the viewers, that I wanted to make this video. Because of you, and the time you took to leave comments, we've been able to come to an understanding of how much more widespread the current situation is with our, canned food supply, canned vegetables. Now, at first, when I heard about this, it was through some live streams I participated in a couple other channels a few weekends back. And the conversation was about shortages of canned vegetables, primarily green peas, which I was not too concerned about. And primarily, it was at Walmart. But there were also comments left in discussion about other grocery retailers, such as Kroger, Safeway, Myers, and such. So, I wanted to find out if indeed, if we were seeing anything like that in my area here. So the first thing I did, grabbed my camera, and since I had to go shopping at Walmart anyway, I went ahead on to our local neighborhood Walmart, here located in my small town. It's not a super center. And I went through it, and when I got to the canned vegetable aisle, indeed, there were some out-of-stock situations, and some low stock items. But primarily it wasn't green peas, it was green beans, French style green beans and cut green beans, in the Del Monte brand, and great value. And I went ahead and took you through out the remainder of the store, because I'd also heard in the live streams there was a shortage of tortillas, corn, not flour. And that discussion was primarily about Taco Bell running totally out of corn tacos, corn tortillas, and such. And indeed, at my Walmart, they had plenty of flour tortillas, but they didn't have no corn. That was a little bit strange. I went ahead, wrapped it up, came home, published the video. And then, in my second video, I took all of y'all to a locally owned, family-ran grocery store here in my small town. There's 2 locations. And we went through it. Didn't seem to be any shortages at all. Everything was stocked fairly nice. No low stock or out of stock condition. I even talked to a young man that was there stocking the canned goods out at the time. Asked him the question if they had any trouble receiving or getting any canned vegetables. And you can hear it on the video if you haven't watched it yet, that they were indeed not having any problems. So I went through the remainder of the store, took y'all with me, came on home, and I put that video up. Well, the third video was entitled Food Crisis Question, is this a new sign of the times? Because I'd been seeing on the internet from a few that Walmart had started posting signs in their canned vegetable section of a problem with availability. I think from July the 2nd to August the 9th. And I show that particular version of that sign in that video. So since I needed to go up to Alexander City, which is many times larger than my small town and has a super Walmart, I thought, why not go in and check and see what it's like. And indeed, at that supercenter, they had the signs up that due to a problem of availability, they were having shortages. And this would be affecting them from, like I said, July the 2nd to August the 9th. And then came home and I started doing some research. I went on the USDA site and I found the 2018 Vegetable Production Report that was published on March 29th, 2019 this year. And I looked through it. Then I videoed some certain key aspects of that report, which clearly showed that not only fresh but processed vegetable production in America had declined significantly. Now, it only gave statistical data for the past 3 years, 2016, 2017, 2018. But it was clear to me, and for those of you who watched the video and download the report, because I did put a link below in the description of that video where you could go read the report and download it for yourself if you'd like. And at the end of this video, I will also provide a link to that in the description. But then I also found a chart from the USDA Economic Research area that showed imports and exports of vegetables in the United States from the 1960s up through 2014. And what that chart clearly showed, as I showed in the video, was in the 1960s we actually exported more vegetables than we imported. Then in the 1970s we imported probably 20% more vegetables than we exported. That increased probably to 30% in the 1980s. But all the time our exports were rising as well. Unfortunately, so were our imports at a much higher rate. But then we get to the 2000s. There we saw a decrease in exports and a significant increase in imports. And in the years from 2000 to 2014, we saw nearly a 4-time increase in imports of vegetables, fresh and processed, than we exported. And that's significant, people. But what more importantly has happened during the course of these 3 videos is, from you, the viewers, and those of you who took time to comment. So for those of you viewers that took the time to view, plus leave a comment, we've been able to hear from people from over 23 different states. I've read every comment and every response to comments over the entirety of the 3 videos that have been published to date. And then I've written down where those comments came from, this little notebook that I keep on my desk. And we've had people from 23 different states of the 50 states of our great nation. Now granted, it's not all 50, but I have a very small subscriber base, which has been growing, and I'm very thankful for everybody who's decided to subscribe. But we've heard from people from Michigan, Alaska, Wisconsin, Indiana, Kentucky, Iowa, Florida, Arizona, Alabama, of course, that's where I'm located at, Ohio, Washington, North Carolina, Idaho, Louisiana, Minnesota, Tennessee, South Dakota, Texas, Pennsylvania, California, Massachusetts, Colorado, and Maine. And those who've commented from all these different states, but primarily the #1 culprit of being either low on stock or out of stock has been Walmart. But as the videos have been up and the days have gone by, the second most mentioned grocery retailer has been Kroger's. And I kept track of those two right here, the different grocery retailers that were mentioned. Kroger was number 2. There was mention of Albertsons, Publix, Majers or Myers, not sure how that's pronounced, Safeway, Target, and Costco. So, it's not just Walmart, folks. It's not Walmart people are lazy, don't restock, as a few comments were made to that fact. It's not a trucking issue of Walmart's making, or lack thereof. And it's not primarily a problem with Walmart. Walmart was number 1, and they were the first. Kroger was second, so that got me thinking. Why would that be? Well, if I had to ask you who was the number 1 grocery retailer in America, would you know? I really didn't know. I sort of suspected who it was. Well, folks, that'd be Walmart. And let me go over a summary of the 2018-2017 rankings of grocery retailers with you. I just printed it out, and you can look this up yourself through Google or whatever, so you don't got to take my own word for it. But let's take a look at it real quickly. Hey, instead of showing y'all on a piece of paper, why don't I just take y'all on in the house, sit you down at the computer at my desk, and we'll show you live right on the screen. So let's head on in the house and take a load off in the air conditioning, and let me show you a few things that will further explain why we're in the situation we're currently in, and provide information as to how things may look in the latter part of this year and in 2020. Okay, y'all, I got you here sitting with me at my desk, staring at the old computer screen. Now, as I said, Walmart has primarily been the grocery retailer that a majority of the comments have mentioned as either being out of stock or low on stock of such things like green peas, green beans, corn, and what have you. And as you can see here, why would that be? Well, Walmart is the number 1 largest grocery retailer in America by twice of its closest competitor. And you can look right there in physical year-end sales, $159 million. Kroger comes in second at just less than half of that. And Albertsons, which was mentioned as well, comes in third. So if you're going by the numbers, Walmart's 1, Kroger, who is the second most mentioned company, is the number 2 supplier. Albertsons is number 3. Anyone who knows anything about supply and availability knows that the first grocery retailer to see the problem is going to be the one that has the highest volume, and that's Walmart. The second one that's going to see it is going to be Kroger, and then third Albertsons, and then it's just going to trickle down from there throughout the rest of the grocery retailers. So that makes perfect sense to what we've been seeing in the comments. Now, if you'd like to look this up yourself, I'm going to leave a link to this. We'll just switch right over here to Mr. Google, and which here we are. In here, this is from Progressive Grocer, top 50 grocers. Amazon is in 8th place, while the rest of the industry re-strategizes and reshuffles. That was the title of the article. But we scroll on down here and you can see the same information I just showed you printed on the screen. Walmart's 1, Kroger's second, Albertson's third, and it goes on down through the top 10. Now if you'd like to know who the top 50 are, then you'll have to come to this site and download this PDF file. And I'll leave a link to this site as well in the description below the video. So to me, this makes total sense. Why it hit Walmart first, and then hit Kroger and Albertsons, and then on from there. Now, what I'd like to do is just quickly go over the information I presented in the reports in the third video in this series, and that is food crisis, is this a sign of the times? And we're going to head on over here and we're going to take a look at the USDA Vegetables 2018 summary that was published in March 2019. And if you'll go watch that video, I go through some key aspects of this report that show that indeed vegetable production, both fresh, processed, and processed by the way means not only canned but frozen vegetables as well. In some of these reports you just have to download the report and look at it yourself, but I'll leave a link to this report as well. But I would urge you, if you're trying to make a decision on what you need to do for yourself and your family, that you watch that video, Food Crisis, is this a new sign of the times, and download this report, and you can make an informed decision yourself. Now, I also showed you in that video this chart right here, and we'll blow it up a little bit so we can all see it. And this here chart is also from the USDA Economic Research Service, and this is on vegetable supply and use series, and like the chart's titled, U.S. Fresh Vegetable Integration with World Markets from 1960 to 2014. And as in the previous video, I went through this chart, and we can take a look at it quickly here. In the 1960s, we imported less than we exported vegetables. In the 1970s, that flip-flopped. We started importing more vegetables than we exported. In the 1880s, the percentage-wise change stayed the same. But if you look from the 1960s through the 1990s, our exports steadily increased. However, so did our imports. And then if you also notice, from the 1990s through to the 2010-2014 time frame, our exports were decreasing while our imports were sharply increasing. And as you can see, in the 2010 to 2014 time range, it's probably now 3 times to 4 times more imports than what we export. And that's not good, folks. And what that means for all of us is the U.S. no longer is planting, producing, and harvesting enough vegetables to feed its people. And that's not a good situation to be in. But I want to take another look at a report we haven't looked over yet, and we're going to look at this one here. And this report is also from the USDA, and this is Vegetables and Pulses Outlook, and it was published in May the 6th, 2019 of this year. Now the next release will be in September the 27th, 2019, and I'm sure that one's going to be truly telling, because that's going to have some preliminary data in it from our 2019 harvest, which we have yet to see. But you can see right here in the first opening statement, production declines and widening trade gap hinder per capita availability. Now for those of you who don't know what per capita means basically per head. And what it means is how much is available to each and every person, man, woman, and child, living currently in America when this report was written up. Now, it starts off here with domestic fresh vegetable utilized production fell 10% in 2018 from the previous year, while processed vegetable and utilized production was up over 7%. Now, immediately you're going to say, well, then why are we having a shortage of canned goods? I'll get to that in just a little bit. But it's important to know that the availability of fresh vegetables has decreased to almost near the levels of 2014 and 2015. Where processed vegetables availability has went up to about the same level it was in 2014. Now we're going to look at this first table. And this is vegetable and pulse industry at a glance, 2016 through 2019. And what I'm concerned about now is vegetables for processing. And here again I want to state, vegetables processing is also included in that is cans and frozen. So this is area harvested, vegetables for processing. These are 1,000-acre increments. So in 2016 we harvested 1,235,000 acres. That slipped down to 1,172,000 acres in 2017 and continued to slide to 1,163,000 acres in 2018. Excuse me. Now it's projected to go up slightly in 2019 to 1,190,000 acres. I don't think that's going to happen based on the extended winter we've seen this year, the flooding we've seen in the Midwest, flooding in the upper Southwest, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri. California had a far below normal colder spring and wetter spring than it has in previous years, as well as there was a wetter and colder spring in the Southeast and Southwest as a whole. I think that projection there is not going to be made. But then we go down and we take a look at production, vegetable processing, and this is in millions of hundredweight. But what's important to note is we were at 372 million pounds of production in 2016. That slid to 333 million in 2017, and it went slightly up to 357 million in 2018. But we barely overcame what we lost in 2017. Another thing that's been a lot of discussion on live streams and during other videos has been dry beans, peas, and lentils. I've noticed people commenting about price increase there and availability. And here you can see that that has decreased. It decreased in 2017 from 2016 by a little under 10 million pounds. And it increased up to 61 million in 2018, but it was still a little less than 8 million pounds under the 2016 harvest. And if you want, you can look through this and look through all the categories. I'm not going to go through all the categories here. But what this here chart, this data here tells me is our processing vegetables are still declining. Our dry beans, peas, and lentils, if you look at the areas harvested, that went up significantly in 2017, but went down below 2016 levels, and that was area harvested. Here, U.S. vegetable production. during the 2018 season, down almost 2% from 2017. And this one's even more concerning. Fresh market vegetables sink to a record low production. Excluding potatoes, sweet potatoes, and mushrooms, the United States produced 35.9 billion pounds of fresh vegetables in 2018, down over 9% from the year earlier. The production decline from last year coincides with a drop in both area harvested and yields of most fresh market vegetables. And what that means is we planted less, we harvested less, and yields were lower. But you can come down here, and this is table 2, annual U.S. utilized production of select fresh market vegetables. And you can see the trends here. We'll just take snap beans, which are an issue of concern at the moment. And this is 2016, there was 421 million pounds utilized, that's produced, put away. That dropped down to 377 million in 2017, that rose to 402.5 million in 2018. And you can go down through here and see all the fresh vegetables. Some of them we've had dramatic decreases in. One being broccoli, 16% lower in 2018 than 2017. Carrots, 12% decrease. We had a decrease of 5% in sweet corn. Head lettuce, 18% less than 2017, as well as leaf lettuce, and romaine was 20% less than the previous year of 2017. Onions were down 19%. Bell peppers, 10% less. And chili peppers, 20% less. And of course, pumpkins, 5%. I'm not sure we're going to panic over pumpkins. But here again, squash was at 8% less than the previous year, 2017. And tomatoes, fresh harvest, was 2% less. But something I found interesting were down here potatoes, which, you know, if you're an American, potatoes are a staple of the American diet, unlike in other parts of the world. Parts of Asia, rice would be. Parts of Europe, pasta is. Well, in America, it's potatoes. And we produce 10% less than we did in 2017. But if you look at 2016, we produced significantly less as well. Sweet potatoes, 23% less from 2017 to 2018, and less than 2016. I'm not going to do all the math. You can go back to this report and do the math yourself, but it's a significant decrease in that. One of the notable increases was 2018 carrot production resulted from gains in the area harvested and yield for the year. So if you love carrots, we made more of them. And here again, they say processed and market vegetables recover from last year. And here in table 3, you can see utilized production of selected processed vegetables. Beans, snap beans. Okay, and this is million pounds. So in 2016, there's 1.5 billion pounds of snap beans utilized. Those were canned and frozen. That slipped to 928 million, which is a significant decrease. Over 700 and some million pounds. And it slipped further in 2018 to 881 million pounds. So you can see why snap beans, canned and or frozen, have now become in high demand. Our stockpiles of this vegetable in cans and frozen is clearly being depleted. But you can see here as well, carrots, we had 949 million pounds produced 2016. 2017 that went up a little over 1 billion, but it fell below 2016 levels to 834 million pounds in 2018. So there's going to be some problems with the carrots. Sweet corn, it was below the 2017 production, but up from 2016. Now, I've been looking at cucumbers. Not now because I grow my own, but during the fall and winter months when I'm not, the prices have increased. Well, here you can see why. In 2016, there was over 1 billion pounds of cucumbers produced in 2016. That went up to 1.3, nearly 1.4 billion in 2017, but fell drastically off to 982 million pounds, a 29% decrease from 2017 and 2018. And green peas, that's what started it all. And you can see here that utilized production 2016 was 606 million pounds. That slipped to 591 million pounds in 2017 and fell to 505 million pounds 2018, a decrease of 101 million pounds. That's a whole lot of peas, folks. So granted, canned peas as well as frozen peas are going to be in tight demand until the 2019 crop comes in. But you can look down through there, check out any more of your favorite vegetables. Now, I don't know if y'all noticed it, but I did. Sweet potato, and it says right here, sweet potato prices spike as production fails. And I noticed that in my local grocery stores. And here it says the U.S. 2018 sweet potato production fell 23% to 2.7 billion pounds, following a record high production year in 2017. And the reason for that was Hurricane Florence slamming into North Carolina sweet potato growing region September 2018. Contributed to the largest annual U.S. production fall in 48 years. And up until that point, from 2015 to 2017, North Carolina averaged 54% of the total U.S. sweet potato production. So if you like sweet potatoes, you might want to consider growing them too. But I do encourage you to go through this report. It's got a lot of information here. It's got information on U.S. vegetable trade, both the exports and imports. You can see it right here. Imports of fresh vegetables, exports fresh. You can go down here to selected processed vegetable trade volume. Here again you can see the imports, canned and frozen, and it's selected. They don't show us the rest of the vegetables. Just like canned vegetables, it doesn't take any genius to see we're steadily increasing our imports of canned vegetables. Those cans, so be looking at your cans, because they're probably saying China. The same way with frozen vegetables. That's been on a steady increase, as you can see by looking down through there. They've got frozen snap beans. That's green beans, folks. That's been increasing. No, not that much, but 2 million pounds is considerable. Mushrooms have been increasing, and so has potatoes for processing. While our exports overall have been declining, both in canned vegetables and frozen vegetables. And that makes sense. If we're not producing enough to feed ourselves, why in God's name would we be exporting it? That's my question. But another telling story here, because we all know, as supply of something tightens, whether that's an iPhone, can of corn, or whatever, the price of that particular item is going to go up. You're going to have to pay more for it. And the same is true with vegetables. And this is the index of prices received by growers for vegetables, and it tells the same story as the areas harvested, produced, and all that is telling us. Limited supply in America. So if you look at the blue dotted line, that's your average between 2015 and 2017 of the price that was paid to growers for vegetables. And you can see it went up and down, but within a small range, it stayed pretty stable. Now look at the gray line, 2018. It fell after April, went up a little bit in May, fell again in July, slight increase in August, a little decrease in September, but from September all the way to the end of the year was a huge spike in prices that processors were paying the vegetable growers. And that's why you saw the price increase in your vegetables, in canned vegetables, frozen vegetables, as well as fresh vegetables. But the telling story is right here. This yellow-orange line, marked 2019. As you can see, prices paid to growers in 2019 for January and February, which are only 2 months shown, are already higher than they were at the start of 2018 by a significant amount. They were slightly higher than where prices started for the 2015-2017 prices paid to growers. My belief is we're only going to see this line extend upwards. And that's all based on the weather we've had. We had an extended winter in a lot of areas, a lot more snow. We had colder and wetter springs throughout most of our growing regions. We had flooding in the Midwest, the upper Southwest, some flooding and wetter springs in the Southeast. So there's no way vegetable prices, whether they're fresh, frozen, or canned, are going to be going down. There's only one place for them to go, and that's up. And one thing I want to leave you with is, by all means, download these reports. Like I said, I'll leave a link below in the description. Read through them. That way you can make an informed decision for you, your family, friends, and whoever else you'd like to share it with. Don't gotta depend on old Mr. Tom. So folks, I'm gonna leave you with this now. Okay y'all, we're back out here on the front porch. And I hope you stayed with me. I hope I was able to show you something. I've tried my best to prevent appropriate data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And like I say, I'll link those resources in the description below the video. But if you haven't watched the first 3 videos, I would encourage you to do that. I would especially watch the video, the 3rd in the series, Food Crisis, is this the new sign of the times? Because I go over the 2018 vegetable production report in that video as well. My intent was to find out for myself, the friends of my family and my children, what was truly going on. I feel pretty confident that I have. It's not a government conspiracy. It's not a trucking issue. It's not a Walmart issue. The issue is, sadly enough, vegetable production in America has for some time been on decline. And you can see that in that chart that showed imports and exports from 1960s to the years 2010 2014. We have been constantly increasing our vegetable imports since the 70s, and that dramatically went up from the 90s and the 2000s to 400% over our exports in the time period between 2010 and 2014. I'd hate to think what it was last year. But what that tells us is America no longer produces enough vegetables to feed its citizens. And that's scary. So if you don't take anything more from all this, is download the data, read through the report yourself, use them to make the decision you need to make for yourself and your family for the remainder of this year and the coming year, 2020. Because with the weather that we had at the beginning of this year, my thoughts are 2020 is going to be far worse than 2019 ever was. I'd like to encourage each and every one of you that if you're not growing some portion of your own food, that you start right now. There's still time left. If you say, well, I don't know how, we got YouTube. Watch the rest of us. And find somebody in your local community or area that maybe you can partner with and learn it. And learn it from them as well. So folks, until I see you the next time, y'all take care, stay safe, and God bless each and every one of you. Goodbye for now. Quit knocking me around, Murr. Shaking the camera. Big old cat. You're always knocking the camera around in my hand.